Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I had a busy day yesterday. I went to A&E with a suspected heart attack. I've been having chest pain for the last 3 days, but I was so busy with Carol's treatment. She had to come down for bloods, etc, etc, and she's in the hospital right now as I speak having a blood transfusion, that I put it off. Rang the doctor yesterday and he said straight down to A&E for you, old boy. So that's what I did. Went in there, presented to myself, 33 people waiting, and within minutes I was called in and I was seen by a really nice nurse who triaged me, asking me all the questions about what the pain was like. Took my blood pressure, took my history, had access of course to all my medical records, and she set me back in the waiting room. I thought I was going to have to wait quite some time, but within another minute or two I was called in by a male nurse who promptly gave me an ECG and took several blood samples. They went off for analysis and I was sat back in the waiting room. After about an hour, I think, I was called in by a doctor, a young doctor who was absolutely brilliant. She really looked after me well, gave me the most thorough questioning, examined my lungs, everything, felt my belly, all sorts of things. And she had the results of the first blood test. And what they're looking for is a chemical called troponin. And apparently that's a chemical that's secreted when your heart is under stress. Anyway, my troponin levels were slightly raised. So that meant I had to stay there and wait for an hour, and they would then take another blood test to determine whether that chemical was going up, down, or staying the same. At that point I was moved to a different waiting room with only 15 people in very comfortable chairs, and they were all there with different ailments. A couple of other people there seemed to be having the same thing that I was undergoing. Anyway, so they sat me there for an hour and until I had a second blood test, and I had to wait another hour for the results of that to come back. Meanwhile, they're taking my blood pressure, etc, etc, and that troponin test came back the same. So that meant no, there's no heart attack here, and I was diagnosed with non-specific chest pain. Now we could all surmise what's been causing that, and obviously the big shadow in the room is all the stress we've been going through, because yesterday whilst I was in the hospital waiting for the results, Carol phoned me that she'd been contacted by the Nuffield at Brighton that she had to come in for a blood transfusion, which is why we're sat here today. So of course we had to worry about how was she going to get down there, and thankfully our neighbour agreed to bring her down. But luckily for me, after that second blood test and another ECG, they discharged me, and I got out literally within minutes of the deadline for me being able to bring her down here yesterday afternoon. So that all went well. Anyway, why am I making this video? I want to make this video just to say to you that if you are having chest pains, don't do what I did. Go straight to A&E. Don't bother ringing your doctor, because your doctor will just delay things and then send you directly to A&E. I was worried about attending an A&E. Obviously, having worked there in the police, I was generally guarding prisoners and things like that. I knew that A&E could be a noisy, rough place, depending on what time of day you went there. And also I'd heard horror stories about long wait times. But my experience attending at 9 o'clock on a Wednesday morning was very, very smooth and very, very efficient. I didn't have to wait very long at all before I was being treated. So having learned that, I wouldn't hesitate to bypass the doctor and just go straight to A&E if I had this pain again. It did bring back a lot of fascinating memories of my time in the police. You know, as I was moving between different places in the hospital, I saw a couple of young policemen. They looked like schoolboys guarding a guy who was flaked out on a bed, and they looked bored stiff. I used to be bored stiff when I used to have to do that duty. And by the time I'd left, that guard had been changed. There were a couple of old sweats guarding the guy. So no idea what he was in there for or why the police were with him. But I suspect he was under arrest. Anyway, that's all I've got for you. I'm going to go back into the hospital now to sit with Carol while she has her blood transfusion. And we'll update you on what's going on with Carol in another video. Anyway, I hope you found this video informative. And I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.